Conversations with a Citizen. I'm your host, Tia Carroll Jones. I am here today with the mayor of Markham, Roger Agpawa. Welcome to the show.
Well, hey, I'm glad to be here this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, first it said thanks for being here. I go back to being in the south side of, really I say south side of Chicago. When the south suburbs, we include ourselves. Because I remember here many years ago with Bill Garth and the Citizen newspaper, I go back that far, and they used to cover us back in Markham. The Citizen did quite a bit back in the 80s.
Okay.
So, but I've been a Markhamite since the 60s.
Oh, okay.
So most of my life, born on the west side, then went to the booming metropolis of Markham.
Okay.
And been there ever since the early 60s, and worked a career out there as a firefighter and worked in the community. And then I had made the mistake and I ran for mayor and I accidentally won. How about that? Get to serve people now in a different way instead of doing fire work for them and rescuing people in that regard. Now I'm the water and sewer guy. Fix the lights and the streets and all that. So I love it. It's a blessing to be able to serve.
And how did you get into politics?
Government is so intertwined with, when you work as a firefighter, you work with other departments within a city. And, some things are, I think that some people use the word politics in a bad way. I don't. I think that that's the art of negotiation. I have a political science degree, and I think that you just need to know what the end game is, as they say, of what you're trying to do, and you should know how to do that. But departments they intertwine with each other, and you have to negotiate different things that you're going to have to do, and for the resident or for for your other departments that you work with. Certainly, negotiations come in huge at budget time between competing in the departments with the department or with the mayor, the city council, that kind of thing for budget. But I've been involved with politics because of government, and then I actually ran for political office in 1995. I ran for alderman, and that was the art of politics too. I think I was more of a detractor than anything else with the team I was with. I don't think I had a great chance of winning, but I put my name out there back then and wanted to try to serve in a different way. And then obviously back in 2017, I got a little more involved in politics and decided to run for mayor, knowing the differences in our city since the 60s.
And you served as, like you said, fire chief in Country Club Hills. What made you want to run for mayor of Markham?
Well, I think that there were some points, again, when you've been in a community as long as I've been in it, and you see the different downturn of the community over the years, I think that I wanted to try to be part of a solution of things that I've seen change over the years. And there was a downturn and a decline in the community in a lot of places in terms, but every community had faced it, not Markham exclusively, but definitely you see the things with the housing market going the way that it did, and you see different blight in your community, and I think that the what you have to want to serve just kind of gets the better of you if you're going to be there. You want to be part of what could be better. Or I was really at the point I was saying, if I can't change this and make it better, I don't know how much longer I can be here. And I told people that actually, to be quite honest, getting into politics in the community, I said that, I don't know how much more, not to take anything away from my two past predecessors that were both black mayors. The first black mayor was Evans Miller back then, and I served under him to be the first black fire chief. Later, then David Webb, who was an alderman for 18 years. Prior to that, I worked with him. I was, again, at City Hall. I've been there since 1976. So I was a kid, but, not to take anything away from him, but I had gotten to the point that if I can't make a difference, then I've got to move.
Okay.
And that was really the biggest push of all, is that it was time to step up and change one way or the other.
So then, how were you allowed to run for mayor of Markham in 2017
Well, one of the things that, when I said I went through that whole thought of wanting to go to the next level, it's not like I didn't know I had baggage and somebody might want to do my laundry for me, because they certainly have. But one thing for sure, I felt that the disenfranchisement that myself and others carrying around an albatross around your neck was just a little bit unfair after you served any sentencing you had. In my case, I had probation for 3 years, community service 200 hours, and paid $20,000 back to a responsibility of $60,000 that I had, because the way you pay those things back is a joint and several matter. So I was only responsible for paying 20 back of the 60 that that's all I got anyway when I took somebody's check that I should have.
Okay.
And it was a good time in my life to have, I made the mistake, but I also paid it back with my life, certainly paid it back with my name. I destroyed my name in some place, had to rebuild it in the community, but I also served. And when you go back and you rebuild, that's what it's part of. But at the time, I felt that constitutionally that I had a right to run. I should have not had to serve a life sentence and not be able to serve my community. If it's good enough for me to die for in the fire service, it should be good enough for me to take care of them. And I had to establish and prove that in the community. And I took that premise that I was going to run until somebody tells me that I can't. And I knew what the law was. It said that if you were convicted of a felony, you couldn't hold office or take the oath and that kind of thing. And so I challenged the constitutionality of it, because I think it's unfair for any offender of anything to serve and then you're treated like a second, third class, fourth class citizen, actually in this case, because you're not even first class or second, third, upper, middle, and last class, or a caste system is almost what felons run into. I think that the system is not a good system in terms of how the criminal justice system and justice reform is terrible. And so that's how I ran on that premise. And obviously I didn't get real far in the courts, because the appellate court continued to uphold the fact that Illinois said that felons can't serve, constitutional or otherwise. So there was no real good consideration in terms of restorative rights of citizenship or to hold office. You can vote in Illinois as a felon, but you can't hold public office. That's what the law was specific about. So that there was no challenge to me at the time.
Okay.
And that's really the bottom line, was no one challenged it. Probably they challenged it, I probably would have been in court sooner and wouldn't have been able to run and then later on win. So that's how I kind of got into running.
Okay. And so then, can you explain what restoration of rights of citizenship is and how that made you eligible to run for office?
I would just absolutely love to explain it, because I think that the big issue is that what happened with me in terms of restorative justice in the greatest way with rights of citizenship and getting your rights restored is it hadn't been done in 48 years in Illinois. So it's been an uncommon practice by any governor since back in the 70s somewhere, and it had even been challenged. A couple of other mayors back in the 70s had the same issue, and the governor restored their rights, and that's what we found in looking around, trying to find a way to have some restorative justice. One of the things that it really became clear is that in the process, since I had a federal offense, the consequence of a federal offense is just that you, back in that state wherever you live or reside, you can't do anything because that law in that state says no, but the state has the right to give you your citizenship back and restore you. Mm-hmm. In the federal pardon application and instructions, there's a section 10 that says in the effect of a pardon that they recommend you to go back to your authorities of the state so you can get your civil disability or your civil rights restored to you, and that's nationwide. The best one of all that I think Iowa has a more formal process, and it's called Executive Order 7 in the state of Iowa, and it's very specific and clean to understand. They have that order where it says you can get your rights restored by the governor, and as well, it's nationwide that they do this, because again, the Department of Justice and the pardon application from the pardon attorney tells you to go back, and Iowa's just got a good system where you can get frequently asked questions. It says, well, what if I have a federal offense? It tells you very clearly the governor can definitely restore your rights in the state, but it obviously can't remove the federal felony, and the pardon would only do that. The simplest way to understand some of it too is that a pardon is a nationwide restoration, if you will. But a state restoration is where you can go, because that's the person who's saying that you can't do something.
During your term as mayor, how have you been able to bring economic development to the city of Markham?
Well, one of the things that I ran on to begin with, when I said that I wanted to be part of a solution, I really knew that from looking at my community, it wasn't very inviting. And if you don't clean up and your community, you don't make it safe, it's almost like if I come over to your house and it's not real clean, and I didn't feel good coming in the door, I ain't coming back.
Okay.
I might not even come over, if it don't look too clean from getting in the door or anything else. And it's the same premise. It's not rocket science to being able to know what you need to do to your community to make it inviting and aesthetically pleasing to the eye, and certainly you have to look at the underlying cause of also. When you look at communities that have issues that aren't clean or safe, that's a symptom of another problem. It begins with who lives there, and what the line is for living there. You can't allow people to think that it's or let them be comfortable with the fact of throwing something out the window or dumping in your community. And if you clean it up, you want to make people that still think about throwing things out, you want to make them think that they're crossing traffic when they're looking out the window to throw something. And so that's what you do. You have to start. It starts at the top, obviously, in leadership and government, to say that you're going to set the stage for good business and economics to want to come to your government, and they see it and then they trust it. And that's what we've been able to do to bring in business.
How have the residents responded to your term in office and the way Markham has progressed under your leadership?
I think that they have responded to where they have even amazed me. And to the point where, it's one thing, I always say that it's really something that they gave a guy like me a second chance, and then they even gave the same guy like me a second term. And they did it, with a resounding number. Just until they added some certifications in the numbers had me at 81% of the vote. I think it reduced when they gave one of the other opponents another 100 votes, down to about 74%. And still, with that being said, the closest person, still was 1,000 votes behind. And I think that really says that the people believe in what you're doing. And what you're trying to do for them, and they see it. And I think that those are the things that the people have spoken loudly about, because I never, for certain, even back to 2017, I never had to hide what had happened to me, and certainly they had knew me to be a son of the city, that had proven himself time and time again in public service, what I was going to do for the community. And we've done that, and I think that is part of the, they're buying into their own city. It belongs to them, and I think that's been a good thing for us.
And as you said, you were elected for a second term as mayor on April 6th, but a recent Illinois appellate court decision has ruled that you are ineligible to hold municipal office. Can you explain what happened and what are the next steps?
Well, we hope that we can obviously stay that order to some degree, and we can get up to the Supreme Court and have it again overruled. We had a couple of lower courts that have ruled in our favor, and certainly the state's attorney's office had nothing to say about it, years ago, that they vacated the order and accepted the governor's signature on restoring my rights. And I think that, again, the unfamiliarity of this whole matter in the state of Illinois is really where I think a couple justices in the appellate court just didn't get it right, and they didn't. I don't think they understood it well enough. I think that one dissenting justice of the decision decided that, hey, this is intact. It makes sense that hey, the guy's got a federal offense, but that the consequence is up to the state how they want to deal with them, and the state did do that with the governor's signature, and I think that that's just an unfortunate matter where they decide the judicial branch of government goes and stretches into the executive branch of government and takes the power of the Constitution from the governor. And that's what this is really all about. And that's what restorative justice and rights and civil rights and citizenship, it's about it's just that. It's about the right for people to exercise and live and have some boundaries in the Constitution that we all want. We all want that freedom, and especially, I say to some point, because I'm not a war is me type of guy, but I guess say, well, what do they want, a pint of blood? I mean, it's kind of to the point, like, how long do you serve? This is 20 years ago. I've already got through it at 3 years after I had the offense 20 years ago, and I'm still living it. This is ridiculous. At some point you have to say it's ridiculous. I'm not one to shun my, my nose and my hand at the law, but that's not the case. I think that you have to say that it's a little outlandish. Now we have to have a real conversation about what the law really is, because I think that the law is the law. I got a lot of people yelling that at me. Well, I know it is, but I've heard somebody saying it's not an original statement, but the law used to be where you couldn't drink the same fountain, couldn't ride on buses, and that was the law too. And we didn't want that. We shouted about it, and we made a difference. And this ain't much different, if not more, in the time of the climate we're in with criminal justice reform, and certainly Black Lives Matters. And what do we tell people if we don't give them restorative justice that have gone through these things, that they have a chance? I've got ex-offenders that work with me and things like that, and we provide second chances to them that have been unfortunately shot and stabbed and been in domestics and just in altercations in life, and they've got some purpose now. So that's what this is really about now. And so we've got some good steps ahead.
Okay. So then, are you hopeful that you'll be sworn in for a second term as mayor? And then if or when you are sworn in, what will you do to ensure that you keep the momentum going where the economic development is concerned?
Well, yeah, I'm extremely hopeful. I think that the obvious thing is to alert our legislators about this and address it from a standpoint of the law at some point. I have the biggest thing I have to do is get to the Supreme Court. That's time consuming, costly, all the above, but we have to do that for not just some guy over in Markham, but this is affecting Illinoisans and certainly Black and brown people throughout the state of Illinois. That I think that the travesty of it to me is that we have it's more of a black on black crime, because this isn't somebody that was white that's really challenging me over something that every African American can have the right to have their rights restored. This is our own people that challenge me for their own regard, to do as their own interest, and that is probably the part that I probably just have a dislike for the most. But I think that if we get through this, which I think we will, it's just another bump in the road to having to deal with it. Maybe it just needed this kind of polarization so people understand how important it is, so we don't lose something like this. So, yeah, I lose my rights, but any guy that could have applied for their rights, they have already lost. They don't have a chance. So the momentum for Markham is already set. I think even this involvement over this whole restorative justice thing, Markham should be commended. They should be, kudos to Markham big time. They got courage, they've got tenacity, they've just got, they're just some tumultuous people that really believe in, in what's right, and they don't judge like, I got a couple people that judge, but most of them don't, let me tell you. They really don't, because they decided that they wanted this momentum to continue, and they're part of a bigger picture here. It's not, we were able to get business people in with Amazon that came to Markham, one of the biggest ones in the country. And as well, we've got other businesses knocking at the door, so the momentum is there. And I think that people see the courage that Markham has right down the line for more good and great things to come.
Before we wrap up, is there anything else that you'd like to add?
I'm just, I think that there's reason for everything, and sometimes you have to live in those moments. And I never thought in a million years, I told some people today, I think that one of the things, the reasons why, any leader, not just myself, and I think that I share with other leaders, is that the most important thing is to never get in your own way. And I think that I live by that premise. I think I walk upstairs, because I used to take the stairs, not the elevator. It's only one flight of stairs to get upstairs to the office. And I tell them all the time is that I say in the middle of the stairwells that I can't believe I'm the mayor. And you say that humbly because you just don't want to think too highly of yourself, because it's really not about you anyway. It's about the people that you serve. And that's why we have been successful. It's because Markham belongs to itself. And the people realize that now because it's been given back to them, and they have to take ownership of it, and it's working. It's been very good for us.
Well, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. All right.
Remember to make plans to join us again next week for Conversations with the Citizen.